there's a lot of stuff. So we'll kind of go around the room essentially and sort of like get what everybody was doing. If there's anything that we need to follow up on, if there's any questions that we have about the lore that got dumped in Discord. But last time, after witnessing the death of Bertrand Wynn, um, Verlin was further introduced to the mysterious masked woman on the roof. Um, she spoke to you via her mind powers and introduced herself as Val. Um, she made mention that she hoped that she would see you again. And from here, you decided to use the information that Dawn had received from her underworld contacts to sneak through the sewers and make your way to the hidden entrance to the Watch's garrison. Um, and whilst trudging through the sewers, you discovered a few items of value. Most intriguing was a waterlogged leather-bound book that Verlin found, which you found out later contained a couple of interesting spells and a few short prophecies written by Sandro Valen. Um, you were successful in your attempts to bribe the watch guards to acquire Bertrand's body, and also rough them up a bit to make it look like they were overpowered. And while it was not mentioned in the game, Grand Marshal Hayden later discovered that his men had been accepting bribes, and he had them beheaded in front of the rest of the garrison. So that's fun.
Oh shit.
Uh, Additionally, he replaced nearly all of the heads of each district, um, and also hired a bunch of new watchmen, as it were, uh, firing any of the people that he found were even remotely suspected of corruption. Um, but
What
didn't
was his
have
name again? Sorry, Grand Marshal something.
Hayden. Yeah,
Yep. Sorry to find my notes for a second. It's like, I found the book. Yay.
but he so basically people that he found with enough evidence he killed or had punished by death. But if he didn't have direct proof, but they were suspected, he just fired them and replaced them. So a lot of new blood on the watch at the moment. Um, but upon retrieving Bertrand's body and leaving the watchmen to their fate, and then additionally rolling poorly on perception, you were I won't say ambushed, but you were spotted and followed by the Bloodletters, another guild in Rivengard. They challenged you to combat for Bertrand's body. You did actually kill one of them, uh, and Verlin kind of sort of almost died like 3 or 4 times. Um, the last Bloodletter, who was left standing, yielded, and Caden cast Gentle Repose on the dead Bloodletter to allow the rest of his crew to get him resurrected at a temple, potentially. Um, as you're making your way out of the sewers, your good friend Val appeared and asked you to follow her to meet the Seeker. She made you guys were a little suspicious. She made various promises that no harm would come to you, and offered her weapon as sort of collateral. Um, you did decide to trust her. At least some of you did. Grix was a little not so trusting of her. And you made your way to the Seeker. You entered into a very beautiful room that had no place in a sewer, which, again, later on you realized was actually a sort of pocket dimension that the Seeker had apparently called upon for you to enter. The Seeker spoke of prophecies and mysteries surrounding Sandro Valen, the Council of Eight, and the uh, as well as the Thieves Guild and the Dragon Anvir. Um, he asked that you assist him finding out more information about items that may have been stolen by the Thieves Guild, anything that you would run across as far as more information on these prophecies. Also promised that he would assist you in any way that he could for things that you were looking for. So namely Daniel, he mentioned that he would attempt to investigate the plans that were stolen from you. He offered you guys 2,000 gold for the recovery of Bertrand's body, which is more than you were expecting. He also provided you with a map to a location that he said that you could use as proof to the Thieves Guild that the Magpies were out of business. So from here, you guys had roughly a week, 7 days of downtime. As Quinn didn't have anything specifically lined up for you at the moment and gave you all the opportunity to go and do things of your own interests. Of course, I'll let you all decide. This is where we're going to start the around the room scenario, because I'll let you all decide what you would or would not want to discuss with the rest of the party, and you can choose to do that now if you want to share it. Obviously, again, some of the things that you were looking for were posted in the lore chat. However, I will also say that Quinn was able to make contact with the folks that had posted the original bounty from the Thieves Guild, and he did acquire 200 gold for the additional information, as well as 400 gold more for the map that the Seeker gave. As no bodies were recovered, you only got 400 instead of 1,000. But the Thieves Guild was mentioned that they are open to further compensation if the Magpies do not reemerge. So right now they're like, okay, it looks like maybe they're not there anymore. Here's some money, but it's kind of they're going to wait and see to make sure that they actually are gone, because you couldn't say here's the body of all of them. They're gone, right? So you got an additional 600 gold. So minus the 10%.
60 gold ahead, right?
Well, no, it would be 90 gold ahead for
90 gold ahead.
Yeah, so everybody can add an additional 90 gold to your stash for that.
You're welcome. That was my hard-earned money.
Yes, that was Caden's plan. So I know I've had discussions with some of you in Discord throughout the week. So Pebble, if you would like to start, if there's anything that you did during your week away from everybody else that you would like to share with the rest of the group.
Yeah, so Pebble did arm wrestles, she fought stuff, joined Verlin in fighting a hag, made some money that she's not sharing with anybody. Had a fun conversation with Grix that was mostly just amounted to why are you scared all the time kind of a thing. And ended up she now decided that Grix is not scared of everything and that he's just very, very super smart. And yeah, the only other thing that she did was attempt to drink one of Verlin's potion things, which didn't end. She was not happy about that.
You also found a poster.
Oh, yes. I might fast. Yes, did find a poster that she brought to everybody. It's for a circus that's coming to town about a month from now.
So yeah, one of the smaller sort of towns, and once for next week, I'll have it done hopefully. Because again, Rivengard is a city, but it's also a city state, so it's larger than just the city itself. So there are surrounding towns and villages and stuff that are still part of Rivengard, the city state. And Pebble found a flyer for a traveling circus that she had previously seen where she is from, and they're going to be in that town outside of Rivengard in about a month. So she probably wants to go.
Oh yeah, she wants to go. She's going to tell you guys like every few days or so just to remind you and make sure you remember to take her to the circus.
Maybe you posted the glued it up onto the wall in the guild hall.
Yep. Much to
right by the door, so that every time everybody walks out, they have to see it.
It's probably annoyed Quinn that is just stuck there.
Better a poster than a carrot.
I think Nyx is probably a little bit more. Aside from bringing horses in, I think Quinn's probably pretty laid back about most of it. But so that's Pebble. Verlin.
Verlin, as you know, went on the hunt with Pebble. During that time, he was picking up supplies to try and modify how mutagens work, which took up a lot of his time during the week. So you probably wouldn't have seen much of him.
So, to elaborate a little bit on that, is that so Pebble and Verlin took a contract to go kill a green hag, also in one of the surrounding villages. The hag had been stealing children, so they left the city for a little bit and went and killed a green hag and got some money that they're not sharing with anyone.
Well, no one else took part in killing it.
Right. I know. I'm not. I was just
Didn't
making
offer.
Well, the rest of you were in the freaking library the whole time. A bunch of boring.
Fine, I'll do more exciting things next time.
So, Grix.
Oh yeah. Grix has a lot. He has the stuff that Caden already posted in like the lore channel. Let me see exactly what you have in there, just so I don't go over. Everything you
Basically,
did.
it was about Sandra Valen, and then it
Yeah, because
went
Caden
on.
and Grix had a
Okay.
little bit of overlap in some of the
Yeah.
things that they learned, because
Alright.
were looking for some of the same.
Okay, so yeah, you had the whole thing about how there's not much information on him, but I did find some. He died over 800 years ago. Where? All right, that's that. All right. He was rumored, to start the cult. You have that.
Yeah,
All
then it
right.
goes on.
He was. Some other people claim he was not religious at all, and some people claim that he was actually who the cult followed, Severus himself. He had a known associate named Colin Cordament, who was a servant of Agma, which I didn't look really much into because I didn't know what my character would know about it. And there was no mention, like Grix was really looking for if there was any connection with this guy and the Seeker, or anyone called the Seeker, or any sort of religious figures, and that's when he found out the Cullen guy. He found out some stuff about other stuff that he's not going to mention right now. And yeah, that's pretty much it. He did find out that they thought he was possibly like, would Severus be a god, Matt?
Yeah. So,
Or is it just like a cult leader? Like,
no. So, I'll give you the load. So, Agma is normally a bardic type of thing. Usually, like, because I know in the actual canon Forgotten Realms, like some of the bard colleges, I believe the one in Waterdeep is like the college of like Agma. It's like it's the god of the lord of knowledge, and it's inspiration and invention and knowledge. So so Agma is a god of knowledge, basically. Severus is
isn't he the one of thieves?
no, Severus is actually like
Oh no, that's
kind of a a parallel to like Mistra, so it's a mage and wizard one. But Savras is divination and fate is sort of like his domain. So he's called the All-Seeing. So the idea of this is where like Sandral Valen being somewhat of a seer or a prophet. This is where the connection between Savras and then him possibly being Savras is, or Savras, I guess, however you want to pronounce it. Because the kind of the Savras is divination and prophecy and things like that. So
Oh, and also, he was. I also found out, if you guys remember, the Seeker was like alluding to he has an associate that has been a member of the council. It's a person that was named Remus Markand, who was he was and is now banished, but he was the Transmutation Council member.
Yeah, some of us know who that is.
had conversations with the man.
Sorry, I'm just reading some of the lore stuff and the Counselor of Evocation. He's a firm believer in casting Fireball first and ask questions later.
Yeah. So there is additional information. So that's kind of so in the lore of the Council of Eight, because that's kind of the general knowledge about who they all are. Obviously, that's very brief and doesn't really describe who they are as people necessarily. That's just kind of the things that people know about them or know of them through rumors and such in certain cases.
So is that all, Grix?
Do what?
Is that everything?
Oh,
Grix?
yeah, is that from? Well, from me, that's what he is telling you. He was in the library, just learned.
Wiz got cut out there just a little bit.
Yeah, I said that's all he would tell you. Like, I mean, he was in the library very, very long, so he probably has more information, but that's what he's given up.
There it goes.
So Daniel.
God, compared to the people who went on a contract and didn't tell anyone else. Let's see. Over the course of the downtime, Daniel went to go see his old mentor, Greymane Winslam, to give a report of what's been going on in Quinn's guild. Didn't leave anything out, and attempted to do a little bit more investigation of who stole all the research and the blueprints, any sort of clues or anything like that. Didn't seem to go very well, of course, and the dwarf is as cranky as ever. Next up came some particular research into a certain disease and records of their appearance, shall we say, closer to Rivengard and the Golden Highlands. Didn't seem to yield too much, but it has come up. It has at least come up. And lastly, Daniel, despite 5e rules for crafting being a pain in the ass, has gotten a new gun, a large, almost railgun looking blunderbuss. He's strapped very proudly onto his back next to the crossbow. Other than that, and maybe a little extra investigation, that about covers it.
Alrighty. So Dawn didn't have much, but she was off on her own anyway. Actually, leaving before, I believe she wasn't even there to meet the Seeker, right?
She was not.
Wasn't she? Because she came with us on that sewer trip.
Oh yeah,
She
but
was-
then I left after
Yeah,
the
she
sewer.
because
Oh,
she,
yeah.
she had to go. So I think she darted off when the rest of you went to meet him.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, 5e is terrible with crafting. It's just there are some okay like home brews for it, but they're just so there's no like decent consensus, so it's really
Yeah.
hard to like pick
It's-
one.
It's
the
kind of
one-
funny because sorry, man, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but Pathfinders, believe it or not, is actually worse than 5e's. I'll say that right now. That's all I'll say on that.
Yeah, I mean, the way that the reason I don't like, I get part of the reason that the way that they do it the way that they do, because they want it to be like
You put actual effort into it,
yeah,
basically.
you put absolutely, it takes time and it takes effort and stuff, but because of the way they do it, it always makes it like 99% of the time, if you want to make something that could also be purchased, you're better off just buying it, because
Yeah.
it's just, that's what's frustrating.
Yeah, it's kind of one of the weaknesses of the gunslingers that you have to draft new guns.
Yeah.
DM must sell stats, of course, but if you try to do that, I think for the blunderbuss, the math came out to 750 days, was it?
Yeah, something like that. I don't
Yeah.
think it was quite that long, but the way that it is, because like it's the same thing with like if you want to like learn a language or you learn a new skill, like it's set up so that like it takes this amount of gold and this amount of time, and like the best that they can do with crafting is basically the exact same thing as learning how to read a book. It's like, okay, that's not great, but anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Caden, last but not least, I was just going across the bottom where everybody's names are. So
Yeah, I got you. So I'm just gonna go down my list here. Cash in the open contract with the Thieves Guild. Um, commission that like rosary style holy symbol to inconspicuously house diamonds.
Yep.
So you said that. So by the way, how would I pay for that? Is it like half up front, half on receipt?
if you want, I mean, generally you would do something like that. If you have something commissioned, you just put down a down payment essentially.
Deposit. Okay. Yeah, and you said it would take 3 weeks, I believe.
Yep.
Correct. Try to improve relations with the Dryad, just to kind of make a connection in that sort of sector. Mostly just
Which does not go well, by the way. I don't think I mentioned that. That does not go well.
It does not go well.
It does not go well.
Like she knows that we broke into her place, not well, or
Not well.
Mostly like she's not one that you're gonna necessarily improve relations with. Like you can go in and she'll sell you stuff, but you're not. She's not gonna be friendly. You're not gonna make like so. You know, and a lot of it's certainly possible in this campaign, but in a lot of campaigns, you know, people as players, you're like you'll find your favorite merchant, right? And you always go back to that person. You're like, oh yeah, let's go see Bob or whatever, you know, because you're like, she's not one of those people. Like you're never gonna be friends with her. Like it's a business transaction, and that's all you're ever gonna get from her, basically. So
okay, because that's where I was getting at. I was trying to see like what sort of relationship can be formed there, in the sense that like, you know, she's a fence, and I'm sure she has other connections in the underworld, kind of stuff.
I'm sure she can sell us dead body parts.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry.
So if you're saying that it's a dead end, then I'll just give it up and move on.
That's what I was curious about, because it's like, I think Dawn and Grix did something, but I think she would probably suspect Berlin. Fair enough, but I wonder. Oh well.
so also so I said 3 weeks. You can take, and we'll say 3 weeks, like 7 days, not 5 days. So 21 days total to do it, and it's been 6 days since you put in your request. So you can mark off 6 days for how long it's been so far.
Okay. After that, it's just like typical priestly thing. So help out at the Church of Kellamvor. Go around the poor district and, you know, offer free healing services, either just through this typical medical kit, or, you know, cleric power wise, magically when needed. That's the term.
And technically, you guys, the where your guild hall is, the Warrens, that's the poor district. So
Yeah. So yeah, mostly just go around there, try to, I guess, get the name of the guild out there, in the sense that like, oh yeah, you know, we're helping people, like that's Fortuna's favor for you, you know, kind of stuff. And then so I would wanted to check in with the bloodletters to see if they got that guy revived or not, and offer assistance if they had.
they did.
Okay. Yeah, that was pretty much it for me.
Probably pick bullet fragments out of his spine, but okay. That's fine.
And I mean, there was the library, and I posted all the information that I got from there.
All right.
Yeah.
So, what we shall do now, here we are, a week later, and actually, we're going to have you all gathered at Hemswick Hall rather early in the morning, um, per a request from Quinn. However, let me move you all over to the hall. However, as you enter the hall, you notice that actually it's only Moira who's there. Quinn's not there. Nyx isn't there. And Ada still isn't there. She hasn't been there.
And the cat's gone.
Yes, Buttons the cat is gone as well. So you can see that as you walk in, Moira's behind the bar at this point, kind of looking around a bit nervously, and she kind of waves everybody over and says, kind of in a, even though like there doesn't seem to be much need for it, she kind of speaking in slightly hushed tones, and says, my apologies, I'm actually the one who requested that you come in this early, and Quinn and Nyx will be here shortly. I just wanted to give you a little bit of information that I've gathered. Having entered into this contract with the guild, I wanted to learn more about who I was working for, so I had my birds keep an eye on things.
You spied on Quinn?
I spied on all of them, actually.
This way you tell us why our boss man has a secret mistress we don't know about.
No, he doesn't seem to be all that interested in finding a partner, I suppose. But first, I mean, Nyx, he seems pretty genuine. He's actually been the guild's administrator for over 50 years, which is probably older than most of us, and certainly Quinn. But he does live here in the Warrens, and he goes to the soup kitchens and stuff to volunteer. He seems a bit protective of his cat, but overall a very nice fellow. I couldn't find too much information about Ada, aside from I heard someone overheard someone talking to another individual about her and called her Sergeant. So I'm sure you all know that Rivengard doesn't have a standing army or anything, and she was never part of the Watch, so I imagine she must have been in some other country's military at some point.
Sounds about right.
I couldn't get much more. She hasn't been around for a while. But Quinn himself is a bit of an enigma. First and foremost, this man is not the goofy imbecile that he pretends to be. I don't believe there's anything sinister about him, but I did a little bit more digging and actually couldn't find any record of him prior to joining the Bard College here in Rivengard. And then she sort of pulls out this piece of paper and says, "Here, take a look at this." And how she got this, she's not divulging, but she actually pulls out the transcripts of Quinn's time at the Bardic College of Lore in Rivengard. And as you look at it, you can see that he had nearly perfect scores in every single class that he took. She says, I don't think he's, like a murderer or anything, but I just think that you thought at least you might be interested in knowing that he isn't quite what he seems.
If he's super smart, why doesn't he get us good jobs?
There's a difference between being smart and being social, Pebble. That said, damn, boss man's kind of a mad genius, isn't he?
And she says, "Oh, I also tried to have my birds follow that Val character that you met. I found out her name is actually Valerie Ditmore. I'll just type that real quick in case you want to make a note of it."
Daniel's gonna look at Verlin with this really cheeky grin, like, He's like, "Oh, your lover," like that kind of look.
And I also have to type this.
Yeah, his
Well,
face isn't going to change at all.
She just says that she was also trained by the Saragwethrin, and that is the Assassin's Guild. And she also fought in the underground fighting pits. I tried to track her with my birds, but she spotted them and killed them. I do not like her very much.
Well, sounds about right. I guess Grix, you might want to keep your owl away from her.
He'd be able to come back. He doesn't die.
Well, still, I can't imagine it's all that painful getting hit. It's all that, yeah, you know what I mean.
It sends him back to his home plane. He somewhat enjoys it there.
Hmm. Ooh, Moira, what'd you find out about? He kind of looks around. Ooh, tell us what you found out about Verlin. I want to know everything.
I didn't. You guys already know about my birds. I didn't think it would be helpful to.
Oh, I guess I didn't try.
Probably if you just ask him a question, he'll answer something.
Yes.
He won't. I gave up on that.
Ask me a question.
All right, smartass. What's your favorite color?
He just looks away and doesn't answer.
Didn't we answer this question before?
Oh no, wait, that's right. Yeah.
I think
got
he
it.
actually refused to answer the question because
Yeah.
favorite colors are for little children, if I recall correctly.
Something like that.
You
yeah.
are correct.
All
So
right.
that was Dawn.
Let me try a different
too.
one. You got any siblings there, Verlin?
Just looks at you and takes a drink.
I
I
kind of looks.
don't have any siblings.
Ah, there you go, Pebble. He'll reach over and kind of ruffle her head, but see, that's why I don't ask him any questions. He don't answer them.
So it's about this time because you were here only slightly earlier per Moira's sort of trickery, but the other two come strolling in. So Nyx comes in, puts his cat where it should be. Quinn kind of walks in, sees everybody, and has a big smile on his face. Says, "Ah, it's good to see you, my friends. We are creating quite a buzz around town with this business with the magpies."
Does that mean we'll get better jobs?
He just sort of like puts his finger up like he's going to say something. Says, "Well, let's hope so."
Oh.
But first, I do have it's a job. But it's also kind of a favor. If you'll notice behind the bar, you can see that we now have a little bit of stock here. I did make some arrangements with a local merchant to sort of help us out in maybe turning this into a bar so that we can actually make some money off of this place without relying solely on you guys doing jobs. So I do have a request from him. He again is kind of doing us a favor, giving us quite a good deal. Also, willing to do a little bit of smuggling if necessary, just in case, over in the docks. But he has a request of us to kind of repay his good deal here. Obviously, he will be able to offer us a little bit of money as well, but that's going to probably be negotiated later on because this job may be one thing that turns into another thing that turns into another. It's kind of hard to say, but basically, the long and the short of the scenario is that there is a proprietor of Winters Distillery. His name is Sam Winters, actually. And he is the one who is supplying us with our lovely supply of alcohol here. But he has, up until recently, he was paying money to the watch to keep the fire brews off of his back, because he's actually his distillery is in the harbor district, very close to the warehouse district. And as you all know, per your previous adventures, the fire brews are the organized crime family, basically, in the warehouse district, and they run protection rackets. And our friend Mr. Winters was paying the watch to keep from having to pay the fire brews. However, due to recent events that you all participated in, the watch is now not accepting bribes. And so there is a new head of the watch over in the harbor district. And so now Winters is afraid that the fire brews are going to try to push him around and possibly do something untoward about his business, especially because this is the reason why he was choosing to pay the watch instead of the fire brews, is that the fire brews probably aren't going to ask him to pay protection money because he is a direct competitor of theirs. So what he is requesting from us, at first, at least, for now, for today, is to just go over there this evening and kind of just keep an eye on his place. He has a young daughter who he's a little bit worried about. So kind of just guard him. I mean, act as guards, I guess, is basically what we're looking for. And again, this is why we're kind of leaving the cost and everything open at the moment, because if you guys just go over there and you hang out and nothing happens, well, there's a price for that. If you guys go over there and something happens and you have to, use your swords or whatever, obviously there's more money involved for something like that. So it's kind of a wait and see. I realize it's not the most exciting thing that we could be doing, but again, long term, if we can protect this guy, he can provide us with alcohol, we can make more money, which then I can share with you, and we can be prosperous and maybe get out of this dump and go back to an actual guild hall.
Hey, now don't call this place a dump. Still a nice place.
I mean, it really isn't, but I appreciate the thought. Yeah.
Oh, fucking hell! If I get the money, I'll take the bar off you, man. Come on, play Moira and have it work that off. I suppose.
Well, I mean, okay, so this would be a place that we could keep, but use it as an actual bar instead of a guild hall, right? We also could recruit people. We could have some barracks so that you guys don't have to sleep on the floor, stuff like that.
I slept on a bench.
Well, that too.
You also threw your boot at me, Pebble. Are you sure you want to go that route? Kind of playfully looks at her.
Mm.
Anyway, sorry, boss man, continue.
Well, I mean, that's basically all we got. So I can give you the directions over to the harbor district and basically go and introduce yourself to Mr. Winters and maybe his daughter and see what is up. Hopefully, knock on wood, everything will be kosher and no big deal and nothing bad will happen.
Well, I hope there's at least a little bit of fighting. Otherwise, we're just standing there in cold, dark.
That is true. I give it 50-50. Who knows? I'm not entirely familiar with the fire brews, but I know that they are not very nice people, and if they are aware that they could take advantage of Winter's distillery, they will probably do so at some point. That's the other issue, is that I'm not exactly sure when this would happen, so you might want to take some cards or something.
I know how to play cards.
And he sort of says, well, then I think you should teach this one over here. And he points to Verlin. He's like, because I looks like the kind of guy who does not play games.
I just give him the middle finger.
Trust me, boss, he ain't.
And he sort of nods at you. Point proven. Thank you, Verlin. So, you guys don't have to head over there right now. He's even the fire brews are unlikely to make a ruckus during the day.
So what is the plan here? I mean, if the watch is no longer taking bribes, I assume that they could get involved, or they will get involved with any trouble that the fire brews start. So are we just there as like a preventative measure until they get what they need to take action?
um, really, for the most part, at least to begin with, it is just kind of acting as guards for the shop. If the fire brews start trouble, and the watch don't intervene, that's where you guys would intervene. Or if the watch intervenes in a way that you maybe don't like, then maybe you could still intervene. I mean, again, I'm leaving this up to you guys because I can't say this is how you should do it because we don't even know what's going to happen yet. Um,
So the main goal is to make sure nothing happens to this brewery and make sure that the fire brews know that nothing will happen to it. Yes.
yes. And
Do we
then
have to guard it like every night, all the time now?
Or we make sure that they know it's not a good idea to come back.
Oh, so we punch them real good.
Well,
Yeah.
just right.
I mean, so again, that's kind of like why we have our compensation a little up in the air because it may be more than one day that we have to do this, but hopefully, I mean, I say this. It's kind of weird to say so, but hopefully the fire brews will do something, and you all can make sure that they know not to do anything again.
With this the Thieves Guild, we didn't get all of the money because we didn't bring back any bodies. Do we have to bring back bodies?
No. This job is coming from the person that you're going to protect, so he should probably be pretty aware of what transpires. And you don't have to kill anybody for this. Hopefully, maybe even
It's
preferably don't kill people. I don't know.
yes, preferably, but we weren't trying to kill the person who was trying to take the body from us in the sewers, and it still happened.
I mean, I shot him. I tell you, if someone's surrounding you a lot, I'm liable to shoot him in the brain.
Maybe you should aim for the legs instead.
I mean, I could aim for the jewels, makes you feel better, Pebble, but this enemy still kind of stands.
Well, I will say that making enemies with another guild is one thing. Making enemies with a crime family is something else entirely. So maybe try not to do that. But if you got to do what you got to do, right? Don't let them kill you. So if they attempt to do so, obviously defend yourself.
Would it be better if we didn't uh, say anything about who we are or who we're working for?
But you see, now people know who we are. That was what we've been trying to do, right? Um, so we probably can't really do a whole lot to hide that.
He just nods.
So it's the double-edged. Hopefully, being popular leads to more lucrative things for us to do, but it also means that we can't really hide who we are.
Grix is going to kind of look around at everyone and just kind of say, "So is no one going to bring up what we just found out before
Found out what?
about him?" And he's going to point towards Quinn.
Nope.
He just kind of raises an eyebrow at you.
He kind of just looks around at everyone like he doesn't understand what everyone's saying no for, being quiet.
Dana's gonna kind of glance over Rick's like, "Don't you dare, but he's gonna kind of feign this look and kind of look at Quinn's like, "We heard you fancy the gentleman's club, boss man."
And he just kind of shrugs, like, I mean, the ones in the city are pretty good, I guess, over in the entertainment district.
He kind of like for feigning, he claps his hands and points at Caden's like, "Told you."
I'll toss you a gold coin like you want to bet.
You know, I'm gonna do like a dex saving throw because I don't know if you catch that or not, considering where he's at.
Grix kind of looks at you both and he just goes, I don't understand.
I don't really get it either.
Well, here's what I'm suggesting. First day on the job, I think we should case where we're supposed to be staying, or at least keep an eye on. But I think, if nobody has any mind, would you mind going ahead? We'll catch up with you. I might have a bit of business with this one here. He raises a hand and puts it on Don's head. I almost said hood, that's all right, but like Don takes it roughly her hair.
I look slightly confused.
Anybody object to that?
I'll just
Mm,
kind of stand up and start making my way out the door.
nope.
We're not going to talk about how Quinn is really smart.
No.
Oh yeah, I forgot we learned that.
Shit.
Grix just looks at Quinn and he goes, I don't know what the big deal is. It's not anything bad.
It
We did a bit of.
reveals that Moira spied on him, but
Yeah, that's why
We didn't
Daniel
have to
says
reveal that part.
I was at the library all week doing research. I was going to say I found out. And he kind of looks apologetically at Moira. And he's just going to look at Quinn and goes, what made you want to just lead a very unknown guild instead of with those kind of grades? You probably could have had many other choices.
Like play instruments good.
He looks offended, like, do you not think that I play instruments good?
Well,
I don't know. I've
to be
never
fair,
seen you
boss man,
play
we haven't seen
before.
him, yeah. Same time, yeah.
You should do it right now.
There you go.
Damn.
He pulls out his lute and plays you all a song, quite well, actually.
Pebble
Toss a
claps.
coin.
As
Pebble.
he's doing it, Grix kind of looks over at Pebble and goes, well, there's much more to the college that he went to than that. He learned many things there that don't have to do with just instruments. Someone that skilled in that field usually don't just try to run a guild, especially one this unknown.
And not just play instruments?
There are many things they could do.
Well,
And
let's just
he
play
sort of
instruments good.
he nods and says, yes, there are many things that you learn. He walks over to you, Pebble, and he touches you on the shoulder, and he casts jump. So you can now jump triple the distance you normally could.
She jumps on the stool, hits the ceiling, just poof.
Oh yeah, if
Jumping
he
across
tells her
the
exactly
guild
what she did. Yes, that's exactly what she's doing. Jumping from table to table. The floor is now lava. She's having a great time.
Oh no.
So for the next minute, you can jump around like a crazy person.
Yeah, so Grix like has a little bit of a giggle, but he like immediately pressing on it. Like he's like, so was this really your first choice to what to do with after you were done in college?
He sort of sighs. I didn't have a whole lot of options. You can do an insight check
absolutely
against his really, really high charisma.
Yeah, it is really, really high, but I'm going to make him roll a 4 on whatever his deception or persuasion is.
Well, I'm just going to roll it in thing to see what it is. There you go.
All right, well, let's see what my insight would have been anyway. So he would have been a 4.
So you don't believe him?
Yeah. I kind of just look and I say, we work for you. You don't have to tell us, but I'd prefer it you didn't lie.
And knowing that where he went to school and how smart he is, he says, "And I would prefer that you didn't use any trickery when we're talking to each other."
Some people consider lying trickery as well, but I won't anymore.
Daniel kind of shakes his head, like it's kind of obvious thing. Like Moira told us, like told us that she was kind of doing her research with it. It's like we kind of called him on it anyways. It's like, well, are we gonna go and check the place out?
Yeah, this is getting a bit awkward, and I'm just gonna stand up and walk out.
All right. Like he kind of pats Don's shoulder. It's like, would you mind coming with me, Missy?
Do I have a choice?
I mean, you might get something pretty out of it. So that's up to you, though.
My curiosity is piqued. All right.
Attempt to pat the cat. Oh.
Roll a dexterity saving throw.
Oh no.
Let me see. You'll probably be able to because Nix is an old man, but nope. 16. He throws a book at the back of your head and it hits you.
1 point of bludgeoning damage.
Yeah, you would take 1 point of damage.
Ow, what was that for? I just kind of feign anger.
And he sighs like, "Don't touch my cat."
I'll stick out my tongue and just continue on my way.
Daniel laughed and I pat Don's shoulder. Like, all right, Missy, come on.
And Pebble will hop off the bar, run to Quinn, and be like, "So, can you do anything else fun for me?" And she's like now staring up at him with like eyes of absolute interest and trust. Obviously, she does not think that's stupid anymore.
All right, so let me see what else could he do that's fun.
I mean, you could probably do like mirror him just so she could just The self spell, never mind.
Haste.
Oh
He
god.
doesn't have haste, but here we go. He will cast Longstrider. So you can move really fast now, an extra 10 feet for the next hour.
Pebble runs. She's got 50
Roadrunner.
speed now. There she goes. She is gone.
Like quickly, just pew.
Grix kind of just looks at him and just says, I wasn't trying to be rude. I've never met anyone who was not proud of good grades before.
And he sort of shrugs, says, "It has nothing to do with pride."
Grix just nods and follows everyone else out.
And
as he's walking out, he's going to point to Moira and just say, sorry, and cast message and say, sorry, I was going to say I found out everything.
She just sort of shrugs. She looks at you kind of like, "It's all right," and shrugs.
And I go.
And then she calls lightning. No.
Yeah.
Oh hell.
All right, so I'll just move you guys back here since you're not.
All right, if possible, Mr. DM, sir, I'd like to take Dawn to a good, quote unquote, I guess, gunsmith shop.
Okay.
And he's going to kind of lead her in. He's going to go, all right. He kind of shifts his coat a little bit. He goes, that I was kind of thinking during the week, Miss Dawn, that you might need a little bit of extra edge. So, and I tried making one myself, but that would have taken too long. And well, that'd probably be nice. I don't think any of us will know what'll happen in hell about a year. I don't know. So here's what I'm gonna do for you today. Let's get you either like a palm pistol or something good, and up to 150 gold, and I'll pay you for it. How about that?
you would pay that much for me to get something?
Hey, I did say if you're making something good out of it, he gives this big wide grin, like playful grin. So I'll even teach you how to use it if you like. But the thing is, I think you could use a little bit more edge, and I think that Suet thing got to kick me in the head about it. So let's take a look here. Up to 150 gold. See what you like.
Mm, I'm going to like. Are we in the shop right now?
Yep.
Yep.
If you need to, I can do like the gunslinger page on them. Hang on 1 second.
I'll kind of have a apprehensive look at the wares. Kind of not super sold on anything. If anything, I keep looking back between the guns and Daniel.
He'll fold his arms, kind of watch her patiently. Like, take your time.
I kind of feel like, when you're getting sucked into like a debt. Like-
Believe it or not, yeah.
Well, yeah, that's what it feels like.
All right. Would you rather I pick something for you, or do you want to just kind of put a pin in it? Either way, it's fine. I just wanted to ask.
I mean, what do you want in return?
Not to die in a sewer.
Hmm.
I mean, you can inside check that if you want, but his brows kind of raised when he asked that.
No, I reckon I'll believe you for now.
All right.
But,
He's got. Oops, sorry.
What do the guns look like that I'm looking at?
I mean, a flintlock pistol that you would have would probably be like here. I'll put it in Discord. It would look something like that.
So I'm just looking at that, or is there like a selection?
There'd be a number of them,
Well, the
but I mean
guns.
that's just the general style of what you'd be looking at.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, with like the gunslinger, you'd have like hang on, like a 4-barrel flintlock, basically. Like a palm pistol would be like a single shot, like the. And tell you what, I can always spring the extra 10 gold and put something really embarrassing in the carbon on the gun. He gets another playful grin. Or we could just go the extra mile and put like a little tulip right at the end of the handle.
I'll take the most ordinary looking one. Without all the bells and whistles.
Or just like a regular flintlock. Nothing wrong with that. All right, boss. Not I almost said Boston. Quinn's not here. What am I doing? He looks at the shopkeeper. He's like, all right, how much will this run me here? Or I guess what would this be for like a money purposes?
Yeah, I mean, since technically, I mean, it's one of those weird scenarios where, like, technically you do need to have proficiency in firearms to be able to use them. However,
he could teach her, yeah.
exactly, like that seems like a dumb, like like how difficult is it to show somebody how to fire a gun, right? So, but because you wouldn't technically be proficient, I would say that like the, just a regular pistol would be. So like
Just
150 gold. So yeah.
Is it possible to do a persuasion for the shopkeeper to put in like a bonus 5 shot for the purchase?
Hey, do a persuasion check real quick.
Not a nat 20, but a 20.
Yeah.
All right, then 150 gold pieces. He puts it, kind of filters out the
I'm
bags to
gonna
make sure to count it.
actually stop him, and
What?
I'll fork out 150 of my own gold instead.
Daniel kind of look over, raise eyebrows, like, "Are you sure? I'd be happy to pay for it."
I'd rather, not be indebted to that amount of gold for any reason.
Fair enough, but for sanity's sake, I am going to teach you how to use that.
I nod.
All right. And he'll kind of put his coin purse away, like kind of give a 2-finger salute to the shopkeeper. Said, "All right, let's get going back to the other side. I imagine we got to case this place out a little bit."
All right, and I'm gonna follow after him, but kind of look at the gun in my hands and just really peek around it, because I've never really. I don't think. Or I might have.
I mean, you'd be familiar with them. You probably wouldn't
Yeah.
have used them very much.
Yeah, with like a regular
yeah.
pistol with a gunslinger, it probably looked like this. But yeah,
And then I'll just tuck it away.
All right, give me 2 seconds here. You guys can, if there's anything else you want to do while you're, I just gotta look something up real quick.
Daniel will hang back just a little bit and kind of look it over. Says, well, it kind of, I guess I don't want to say like how a child, like somebody would tell a child how it works, but he would kind of go through how a bullet comes out of the gun, how the gunpowder works, how just basic stuff, just so she doesn't actually go, all right, I got it, and shoot herself in the foot.
Basically, a dummy's guide to guns.
Well, he tries not to be very scientific, but that's not wrong either. So yeah.
So, if you want, just for the sake of it, Dawn, it's obviously not in the compendium, but if you just search for a heavy crossbow, like that's what a pistol likes, the damage and everything. So you can just like drag over the heavy crossbow and then just change it.
Just reload it or rename it.
Yeah, so you have to rename it, and then the only other difference is that it has the properties of you have to reload after 4 shots, and then and then it can misfire, and then you're screwed.
Yeah, and so it's considered a one-handed weapon as well. So I guess you could dual wield that if you really had to. That's up to you.
Also, the range is actually, you'd have to adjust the range on versus the heavy crossbow, because the crossbow is 100 and 400, and the pistol is
like 60 and 240.
60,
yeah,
60 and 240, but the damage is the same, so it's a good starting point. Also, not that it matters because I don't care about encumbrance, but also the pistol is significantly lighter than a heavy crossbow, because I think the crossbow is like 18 pounds and the pistol's 3. So
I mean, Daniel's got a heavy crossbow technically still on his back with the blunderbuss. So it's, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, really, the most important thing for the use is just the damage rolls. So the heavy crossbow works for that.
Yeah, it's 1d10 plus dex. You're not proficient, so just plus dex. That's it.
Yep.
We'll work on that though. It's fine.
Okay. Well, I'm going to look at the weapon while he's explaining it to me. Listen attentively. And then after I put it away, I'll just be like, thanks.
Yeah, no problem. I was thinking you used a little bit of extra edge, and like I said, I'd rather not die in a sewer. So if you could even get a little bit of edge going on, then that's perfectly fine. Just try not to blow my head off,
Are you implying that I did not do so well in the sewer last time?
I think you did fine personally, but I'd rather just be sure. Daniel kind of roll his shoulders in a shrug.
Oh no.
I mean, I ain't Verlin. I can't make my gun burst into flames. It'll be the most badass thing ever, but
I can actually do that.
But when just pops out of nowhere.
Yeah, like yeah.
Well, personally, I think having a gun burst into flames is a bit too. Ooh, look at me.
Wouldn't that just make the fucking black powder ignite and blow your fucking hand up?
Magical
I mean,
fire is different.
I think that'd be like enchanting runes on the barrel. So when the projectile went out, to be like versus the gun actually bursting flames.
Yeah, I mean, it is magical flame, because obviously it's not like it would damage a sword if it was on fire too. So
I mean, I could fucking throw a firebolt and it's gonna start a fire. Might be magical fire, but it's still fire.
Not wrong. Yeah.
I think it's more the application of said magical fire versus like just the fact that it is magical fire kind of thing.
I just want to see someone's hand blow up. That's all I'm asking for.
Honestly, I mean, you got a gunslinger, and now you got. Wait, I guess would the would the mister actually apply for?
Yeah, it would, because I mean, it's the idea is it's that flintlock pistols, and well, the pistols of this sort of level of sophistication are not very good, and so it's inherent in the weapon that it would misfire, because it's just that's a downfall of flintlock weapon or any sort of gunpowder type weapons like that.
What is the mechanic exactly? So I reload after the 4th shot, and then the next one is a misfire.
No, if you roll a 1, it's a misfire.
Yeah, if you
So
roll
yeah,
less, it's fine. And that
the
basically
mono,
jams
yeah,
one.
the modifier is not really an issue. So if you just roll a straight 1 on a 1d20, then that's considered a misfire. Yeah.
So I would say in this scenario, since I'm just giving you random proficiency, if your weapon misfires, you'll have to have Daniel fix it.
I mean
Okay.
that's. I mean, you got a gunslinger with Tinker's tools.
Oh, wait,
I mean,
yeah.
so
I mean that's fine.
I can use the gun. I was gonna like not use the gun until after that. There's been like a kind of training period.
I mean,
Oh.
I don't think that like, again, I don't think. I mean, I would say that you're already if you're proficient in like crossbows and stuff, it's relatively same thing. I mean, he just shows you how to pack the powder,
Yeah.
to load the bullet, and then the firing part is easy, right? So like, there's not a whole lot of. I
That's
mean,
just
you
more
could learn that in
more
an
getting used to it. Yeah, it's like
yeah, I mean, you
that's
can
shaky.
learn it in an afternoon, but I would say that because it requires tinkering tools and because it's a part of the gunslinger class, if you're in combat and your weapon misfires, you just basically have to put it away and you have to have Daniel fix it afterwards.
Okay.
Whereas
Yeah.
he can do it on the fly to actually like try and repair it during combat. But if it happens to you, you just have to be like, oh, screw it, I'll do something else until then. But
Yeah. And so what was the range on that one again?
60 and 240, I think.
yes, that's correct.
He kind of, as he kind of looks at it and just talks to Don about it, make sure to just tell her what every part of the gun is and just this is basics, how it works. He goes, I suppose if you wanted to make it a little bit pretty, I got some Tinko's tools. If we had some extra time on it, like I said, I could put some bit of maybe a bit of just a touch of engraving on it.
I like how it looks.
Oh, all right, and we'll go to the Winter's. Yeah, I brain fart with the Winter place.
Winter, yes, Winter's Distillery.
Thank you. I had it written down. It's like, where is it? Winter's Distillery.
So, and it is a distillery, so it's not you're not going to get beer from him. You're going to get liquor from him.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
whiskeys and stuff like that. So he's the distillery. So you all, I'll say that you guys kind of meet up. Maybe you're all kind of meandering around, but so you make your way over to the harbor district, and you're not on the water necessarily because like the direction that you're going is sort of on the line between the warehouse district and the harbor district. But that being said, you can still sort of hear the seagulls. You can sort of smell the salt in the air, and of course you can smell the fish that are being trawled off the boats. And there's the fish markets. Obviously, in the market district there are fish stalls, but there are also markets for fresh fish in the harbor district, literally right off the boat, right? So you get that lovely smell as well, and you can hear the merchants that are calling out for their freshly caught wares and things like that. And most of that's sort of like in the distance a little bit because again, you're not super close to it. Your final destination, a bit far away from the main docks, right on the edge. I mean, basically, you can sort of see the dividing line. And I don't think I ever mentioned this, but all of the districts actually are physically separated between each other. So they all have essentially walls and gates between each section of the city. So essentially, the distillery is like right on the wall next to the warehouse district. So walking up, you kind of can spot the man that you're there to meet. He's a somewhat overweight gentleman. He's got thick black hair that's kind of tied into a loose ponytail in the back. He's got a very thick, long black beard. He's standing in front of this building that you can see. Above him is a sign that says Winter's Distillery. And again, Sam Winters is the man that you're here to meet. As you all approach, he kind of recognizes who you are and instantly just sort of wait for you to come inside. So he actually, before you even get to him and are able to speak, he sees you all, kind of motions for you to come in, and he goes in himself. Gives you all the opportunity to discuss anything if you want before you enter.
So, is this do we hear this guy was a dwarf or a human, or is he?
He's a rather large human man.
All right.
And I would say Pebble is panting from running all the way there.
And this guy looks down. Is like, "Are you having fun yet?"
You take 1 point of exhaustion from jumping and running nonstop for the past hour.
like the Roadrunners. Pew! Ah!
Yeah, I would say like she's even like running back and forth between forward and like back to the group because she has no idea where she's going.
So, if there isn't anything that you guys want to discuss, you can go ahead and just actually enter into the building. And as you enter, you can see that it's there's kind of a front room that you can see that has a when you first walk in, there's just kind of a basic little table and chair where you imagine that people could come in and sort of place orders or anything like that. But you can also see that there are a few larger circular tables, and there's like some beds off in the back, and then there are, I guess it's not quite a second floor, but if you think about like, so it's this is a large building because it's this is the distillery, but you can see that the place that you've walked into is kind of a entryway slash kind of like probably where he lives, and there is kind of a balcony. So all along the edge of this building, there is a second floor, but it's not really a floor. It's more of a walkway that's built up along the edge. It's kind of a platform, I guess, made of wood. And you can see that there are a few like barrels of some type of alcohol. You're not experts, that are sitting up on the top of this walkway. And then you can see out in the back, further away, looks like because there's it's sectioned off and there's a glass door, and then you can see that there's big glass, like essentially like a glass wall. In the distance, you can see all of the actual distillery equipment that you can see that in the back. And it's somewhat surprising that you can see that this guy looks like he might have some help. You don't see anybody else, but if it's just him and his daughter, this is a pretty big operation. So kind of impressive, but also kind of like, wow, are you doing this by yourself? So that's kind of what you see when you enter in, and you can see that what you assume is his daughter is sort of sitting off in the back in the more living area space, and she appears to be drawing or writing something. Doesn't seem to pay any of you any particular mind, but Sam sort of like again kind of motions for you all to kind of come in and sit down at one of these larger round tables, and just waits for everybody to kind of file in.
Daniel kind of give like a hey as they kind of come in.
As we're walking up to the table, I would sort of comment to Sam, like, wow, this is a pretty nice place you have here.
Thank you. I do appreciate that. I hope you can see why it's important that we protect this place.
Of course, of course. Have you been at this your whole life?
Most of my life. My father was a distiller down in Tredivoria, but this business is mine. I built it from nothing.
I'll just kind of give a nod of approval, kind of thing. Like, oh, wow.
Oh, so if you don't mind my asking, sir, if you kind of look at kind of not skeleton, how tall is Sam, by the way? Sorry.
Sam's probably about 6 foot.
Okay, fair enough. So he's about the same height as Daniel. Okay, so he kind of looks over. He's like, have you with the brewers before? I mean,
thankfully I haven't, and up until recently I was paying protection money to one of the watchmen to keep the fire brews off my back. And some folks pay the fire brews protection money, but seeing as how I'm a competitor of theirs, that was never really much of an option. They would have just as soon slit my throat. So I had the watchmen. They offered protection for reasonable payments, but and you kind of get the idea that he maybe doesn't know that you guys were directly involved in anything related to the watchman being killed or anything. But he kind of says, well, they Marshall just killed a bunch of the watch who were on the take, and my guy kind of got cold feet, so they installed a new head watchman over here in the harbor district, and already making it rough for us. We're just trying to get by, and he just cracking down on everything, and he's like doing surprise searches and constantly interrogating everybody, and it's just it's not any better than the Fire Brews at this point. I mean, okay, maybe it's a little better than them, but I'm kind of at a loss here.
Well, it's kind of why how it is, and well, we got this guy. If you accidentally get a brew on your forehead, if you get what I mean, you got to jerk your thumb at you.
Yeah. Well, just to kind of get down to it, I guess for now, I'm just sort of asking for some protection until maybe I can make some other arrangements. And while you're here, I mean, I ideally, you know, uh, maybe not while you're on the job, but you guys can help yourselves to some of my, you know, premium whiskeys and such. And I talked to Quinn, and he said we could arrange some additional payment once once I found other ways to maybe make my safety a little bit more permanent. But uh, obviously I'm going to keep up my relationship with your guild, and I'll supply you with all of my wares here, and I can supply you with information that happens in the harbor district, and you know uh and this is the thing that kind of surprises you, because Quinn never mentioned this, but he says, and Quinn, he looked out for my daughter when she was sick, and he healed her with his words and his songs, and it was like nothing I've ever seen, and we didn't have the money for a doctor, and he never even asked for a dime in return, and he's a really good guy. You got a good leader over there.
I think we're still trying to figure him out, but he's a good man.
Well, so anyway, first things first, I just need you to kind of hang around the shop tonight, make sure that the fire brews don't come around and do anything.
Hmm. Is there a particular guy you think he might be dealing with?
I don't know anybody. I don't know any of the fire brew by name, but they they just they, and he kind of looks a little bit ashamed. He kind of looks down a little bit and goes, kind of whispers a little bit. He's like, "Look, all those dwarves look the same to me. All right, I don't know which one's which."
Uh, just to let you know, if you said that to my mentor, he'd probably lash your ass, but I get what you mean.
He's like,
Greg's
I don't,
kind of
I don't.
Greg's kind of just laughs and goes, they do.
It's like they all got beards, and I don't know. I can't tell. I can't tell them apart.
Even most of the women have beards. They do look very very.
You guys.
So
Oh.
Winter's kind of like, basically is like, well, if you got any questions, let me know. I got to get back to work.
Uh,
Real quick, Matt. Do I like being from here? Is this like a well-known brewery? Because it sounds like it's very nice and well kept. So, like, do they have a good reputation?
They do.
Okay. Like, they have. Is their alcohol good? Like, or is it like?
Yes,
Shit.
it is. Yes,
Okay.
his the premium whiskey that he offered is known, and it's
Okay.
actually quite expensive.
Okay.
hmm. Well, I mean, I think the only question I'd have is more along the lines to our guy here. He's got a point of view, because I think we need to find some blind spots so we don't, while we're gone, we ain't surprised by, the roof suddenly catching fire or something.
Well, we can look around the building and I can take watch outside.
That's why I said blind spots, so we can certainly take a look.
Yeah, I mean, so as you're sort of looking through, there is the main entrance to the place is in the front. There's two double doors, and there are actually a number of other entrances or slash exits, if you want to call, if you want to think of it that way, throughout the building. So in the sort of the manufacturing area of the building, there are three separate. So if you think of just the whole building as just a big long rectangle, the front part of the building is sort of that area that I described earlier, and then the back part is the manufacturing, essentially. And so there are, if you're looking at this there would be a door on the back side. So there are 3 doors to the manufacturing side. So there's a door on the eastern side of the building, there's a door on the western side of the building, and then there would be one on the northern side of the building. So the entrance to where you guys would be walking into this area now would be at the south of the building. So there are essentially 4 entryways to this place.
Do they live here as well?
Yes.
Home is where the brew is. Yeah.
Real quick, Grix is gonna take out a piece of paper and start writing something down real quick. And the guy is still there, right?
Yeah.
He's gonna approach and just say, "Would you mind reading this quick? And if you're okay with it, put your mark on it, so that way." And he hands it to him. It pretty much just states like, I'm giving these people permission to watch for intruders. If like the guard comes, we can show them that we're like hired to be there. We're not the ones trying to do something wrong.
I mean, there's not a great way to do that.
That's what Grix is trying to get like him to put something. So like if there is, he's thinking of ahead. Like if there's a fight and it lures the watch over, they're just gonna see 2 groups fighting. He's not gonna be like, okay, we're actually defending something.
Right. And he kind of like alludes, like he understands what you're saying, but he's kind of like, I mean, the issue is that right now the watch doesn't really care. Like they're just stamping down on everything. So ideally, I mean, I guess try to lure them away if that's the case, or I don't know how you guys do that kind of thing, but
Is there any like unused warehouse sections that perhaps you leave a door open with a little light inside and it lures them into there?
well, I mean, this is the only place that I've got. I mean, there are certainly some empty warehouses, but I mean, I don't have access to them, so.
He just nods.
Sorry, about how large is this place from foot to tail? Or head to tail?
That was Toto Tail.
I don't know. Head to foot?
I don't know how big is this place. Yeah.
I would say it's probably about 200 feet to 250 feet in length. So from north to south.
Okay.
And it's closer to like 45 or 50 feet east to west. So it's a long building.
And do they like just live on like a floor above or something, or is like a section off in the back or something?
No, I mean, so they're in the sort of the entryway that you walked into. There's kind of like a little bit of a living space off to the side there. That's kind of where it is. I mean, you can see it's very makeshift. So like when people would come in and like place orders, they're kind of like standing in the dude's living room. That's kind of like the way, because he doesn't really have any other space, so he kind of like makes do, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Shall we have a look around then?
Grix, would you like to assist me in trying to find any hidden spots?
Sure. Outside, right?
In and out. Luckily, with your size, it would make it easy for you to see something I can't.
I can do that too. I'm small.
I could also make you closer to our size.
I'd prefer not.
A little mini Berlin.
And also, I'm gonna do this real quick. Sam kind of stops everybody for a second and says, I also before I talked to Quinn, I did actually ask somebody else to come in and help out a little bit, so they'll probably be here a little bit later. I just wanted to make sure that you're aware. So there you go. There's Vix's new character at some point coming in.
Oh.
Perfect.
So they'll be appearing later, because I'm just gonna say because of that, because we've got one person who's sick, we got Dawn who's not gonna be around much longer. I mean, we're gonna keep going, but we'll probably make this a slightly shorter session just so that we don't go too far and Rob can get some sleep and all that kind of stuff. So
Hey man, I can keep going.
I know, but still, you would say that regardless. So,
You will keep going.
Yeah,
Should you is the question.
You sound a little.
yeah.
You sound like
so,
death.
So we're gonna take care of you because you won't take care of yourself. So we'll stop shortly, but that's just the sort of the preface there, that we'll have the new character show up to assist everybody here. But yeah, so if you guys want to just do like like Verlin, if you want to do an investigation check with advantage,
Or do you want me to look for you? Because I have a +8.
or
I've got a +5, so if you want to take it, it's up to you.
yeah, you can do it with advantage. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, sure. I'll go for it.
Wow.
Oh,
see,
shit.
See, I just want to see what it would have been for me.
Yeah. Let's see.
Wow. Not too much better.
I mean, with advantage, it's a little better. But yeah, it's funny
Yeah.
that you have the same roll. But
Yeah.
so you guys do, you spot that the entrances and the exits, because of the size of the building, unless you split the party, it's going to be difficult to cover them all. And in addition, there are a lot of windows in this place, which makes it not an easily defensible position where you could if somebody wanted to break in, it wouldn't be super difficult, is kind of what you discover.
Are the windows just like panes? Or are they latches? Or is it like
Well,
I keep thinking like a garage.
Yeah,
almost.
so I mean, think of more of like because again, glass is not an easy thing to make, and it's somewhat expensive. So if you think of, they're like larger windows, except they're basically a bunch of small square pieces of glass all together. So if you think of like just a crosshash of small windows to make one large window, that's basically what you're looking at.
Grix will point out the fact that he can. Is there one side that's like only one entrance, and the other one has the multiples?
Yeah. So the front entrance is just the one that you walked into, and then there are 3 essentially in the back of the building, but there's just that one front.
He will say that it would be very dumb to split the party. We should probably let my owl look at the other one and inform us if we need to worry about the other entrance.
Well, we should probably set up some form of countermeasure just in case, such as some buckets of water in case of a fire.
Well, I mean, in a harbor, we got a couple of, for lack of a better term, sorry, a couple of kegs, so we can just put it in the water, and just bring it back in.
Are you going to be willing to carry that keg?
I mean, probably. We could. I probably would.
It's probably best if we find a well and just set up some buckets.
Yeah.
So, Grix, do an intelligence check real quick.
Let's see if I can improve a bit.
So, I would say that you would know enough about how things work to say, if there's a fire, you've got alcohol that's burning, which means that water is not going to be the most efficient way to put it out. The most efficient way to put out an alcohol fire is to smother it.
Yeah.
So removing the oxygen from the place is what would be the most effective way to put out a fire that was caused. That
We will
if
have
you have
pebbles,
barrels
throw
of
dirt on it.
yes, if you have barrels of whiskey on fire, putting water on it is not going to be super helpful.
Well, I was
Yeah.
thinking more like structural fire and not alcohol
Yeah.
fire.
That's what I was thinking as well. Now, like, the outside fire, external fire.
Which is true, but you got to remember that, like, regardless of if the building is on fire and those barrels go on fire, that's the danger, not necessarily like the building itself. I mean, obviously that's dangerous too, but if you don't put out the fire that for the alcohol, that's where the problem's going to arise. Especially because yes, it sucks if his building burns down, but if he loses his alcohol, that's actually worse for him. Also, we don't know if anything's gonna be caught on fire. We don't even. I mean, so far you're just looking to make sure that people don't try and harass him, basically. So we're going down a whole line of discussion that may not even be applicable. So,
Well, if need be, I can stand out front and look intimidating.
which is what he basically wants all of you to do, at least for the beginning, is because he doesn't really expect that anybody's gonna. The fire brews in general, like their first tact, of course, is going to be intimidation, right? So they're going to want to scope out the place to see if they see you guys standing outside. Well, that's going to give them pause. So,
Ooh, is there a ladder on the going up the roof or anything, or like a ladder anywhere?
there aren't any. There's no rooftop access to this building. No, it
No,
is a
not like it's like a ladder, just like a
No, I mean there isn't anything specifically because I mean this is not a it's not a flat roofed building. It's a peaked roof, so like there isn't really much that you would do up there.
I figured just like sit on the edge with a blunderbuss by laugh smoking to see what happens.
Would you like me to throw you up there?
I mean, if you can, but
I mean,
that molten pebble.
And it's a slope roof that's probably like a tin roof as well. So like there's not really a place that you can sit up there unless you actually sit on the peak, and that's not going to be very comfortable.
I mean, I've slept next to Pebble. I'm pretty sure I'm fine with being uncomfortable. Boot to the head.
Well then, yeah, Grix will kind of look and just, well, we can just post up at the main doors as guards, and we could have Archie watch the other side.
Okay, and you can make me big, and I can try to make that scary face thing happen again.
You blow up in a great big ball of fire, Pebble, but
That's intimidating too.
yeah, but I'm pretty sure I don't need nothing else about it.
Maybe not next to alcohol.
Yeah.
I could stand a bit away from the building and a bit away from Grix, and then I can attempt to make the scary face happen again.
If it comes down to you punching them, I will make you big again.
Okay.
You could roll a 14 and your body will become wreathed in flames. That would be helpful in a distillery.
Yay.
I don't know what happened. The whole building just caught fire.
So, I'll set the scene and then actually we'll go ahead and stop. It's 8 o'clock, so it's a 2-hour game. That's all right, given our situation. The moon at this point has risen in the sky. The lantern lights of the city along the streets are sort of giving off a warm glow, and you see a large figure approaching you. It pauses. The figure pauses for a moment as it's it's sizing up you all sort of standing outside, and then continues walking forward. And you can see that the person's wearing some sort of like light, sort of maybe leather armor. It's got a dark overcoat on, and you can see that there's the insignia of the watch, which is emblazoned on the left breast of the duster, essentially, that he's wearing. He calls out, introduces himself as Rivengard Watch Chief Darius Horn. And he says, I wish to ask you a number of questions, if I may, regarding your relationship with Mr. Winters. And that is where we will stop and pick up.